What's going on, people? Welcome to Live Palace News. It is 21st of July. It is a Sunday, and the news, they're coming in. They're coming in. So we have to jump on live regardless of if it's a Sunday or a Saturday. A bit earlier than usual. So if you're watching on replay, make sure to let us know your thoughts on all the rumors and updates in the comment section down below. As always, if you're watching live, get involved in the chat because I've got a few dilemmas today. A few scenarios to talk about. Of course, we're going to start off with Ismaila Sarr. As you can see from the title, there are positive updates there, but there's a lot of other players that we're going to be talking about today. It is going to be a busy show. As always, if you enjoy it, it takes a second of your time. It helps us out massively. Like and subscribe, people. We are edging closer to 5,000 subscribers. So if you could do that, that would be much appreciated. Ismaila Sarr's on the radar today. We're going to be talking about him. Rak-Sakyi, a potential bid. We'll be talking about the fees involved with that as well. Nusa, we haven't mentioned him in a while. What's going on with that? Why has the news actually slowed down? There's an update there. Emile Smith Rowe, which we spoke about the other day. And also a potential outgoing, a player that is not Odsonne Edouard and Jordan Ayew that we mentioned yesterday, another potential outgoing. So there's a lot. There's a lot to talk about today. Sarr, our Elise replacement, then we'll be talking about that. Don't worry, Hilza. What's going on to every single one of you that's joining the chat right now. Let's start off with Ismaila Sarr. Let's not waste too much time because there is a lot to talk about today. And with this one, I've got a question to ask after I read out the latest reports, which according to Alan Nixon is the following: is that Crystal Palace will fly to France to sort out a deal for Ismaila Sarr with Marseille. Palace have decided to go full out for Sarr, who's available and could be persuaded to return to the Premier League where he started with Watford. So, according to Alan Nixon, apparently we are going full out on Ismaila Sarr. And I don't know when, but we are due to fly out to France to sort out a deal. And I saw a comment saying Sarr is our release a replacement. I'm not too sure about that. Palace 1439 saying we need to get the players in this week. D off to USA soon. I mean, it's not just a USA tour. We've reached a point now where it's less than a month till the season starts. And I've always been on a wavelength of ideally we want these players to have preseason with Glasgow. We don't want to bring them in a week before the Brentford game. And, we want to give them time to adjust to life in the UK, adjust to life under Glasner, know what the manager wants from him, know what the player wants from the manager, how they can work together. So ideally, you are right, Palace 1439. We need to try and get something sorted this week. And just on Ismaila Sarr, I mean, I was trying to figure out what the fees are involved because there isn't many figures out there. I think he joined Marseille for around £15 million from Watford. So based on that, I mean, I assume Marseille wouldn't want to take a loss on him. So at least it should be £50 million. For me, my gut instinct, around 20 million. I'll be surprised if it's much higher than that, around 15, 20 million, which goes with what we want to work with. 26 years old. But the question I want to ask is, and some people may say I'm crazy to even ask this, some people may disagree, some people may agree, but we're here to have this discussion, of course. How much, and listen to what I'm saying, how much of an improvement is Sarr on Jordan Ayew? The reason why I'm saying that is, by the way, I do want Sarr at a football club. I'm not against it. It's been going on for years, but I do want him at a football club. But the reason why I'm saying that is I think his age is an improvement. His pace is an improvement. But at times, we do underrate Ayew as well. We do underrate him. I mean, last season's 4 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League. Those are not bad numbers. I know he's done majority of them under Roy, and I'm for replacing Ayew. He's turning 33. I believe in September. Like we have to move on from him, especially if we want to become a European club. I do think there's an improvement there. Ismaila Sarr to Jordan Ayew. But how much of an improvement is it? Let me know in the chat. Let's see what you lot think about it. For me, I think the pace is an improvement. And I think it's going to be very important, especially if we're talking about him potentially playing as a right wing back, which he hasn't played it before. I mean, we've said the same with Ayew. We don't know if Glasner would even consider him as an option there. Some people, of course, massively underrate Ayew. Some people, in my opinion, overrate Ayew. So it'll be interesting to see your thoughts. Rex is saying I'll keep Ayew for right wing back option. NGD saying Sarr's a big upgrade. The versatility of being able to play two positions, he'd give us a better scoring output than Ayew. Fair enough, but we say that, but I was looking at Sarr's numbers even last season, I think, over in France, but it wasn't too great. Ayew, I think, had more goals than him and more assists than him last season. I think Ayew might have played more minutes than Sarr, but the output isn't that different to each other. But I do have to add, when it comes down to Sarr, I do think there's a player and a half in him. The biggest problem with Ismaila Sarr, and I think we saw it at Watford as well. He had a great spell at Watford. He had a moment where he was just killing it. The problem with Sarr is him being consistent. Then again, we have got Oliver Glasner at the football club, and we've seen in a short span of time how much of an improvement Glasner can have on these players. So, I do think there's a player and a half in him, and I think he hasn't reached his potential. He's only 26 years old, and maybe Glasner can bring him out more consistently to play at those levels. But right now, there is an improvement. But for me, NGD said it will be a massive improvement. For me, I don't know if it'll be a big upgrade. If it's consistent enough, I think there is a big upgrade there. But I think Jordan Ayew, the role that he has for Palace, I do think he goes a bit under the radar as well. Caleb saying, I'll take Sarr. He doesn't start though. Alex saying, Ayew has to be one of the best value signings since we've been in the Prem. I agree as well. Without Jordan Ayew, I don't know if we're a Premier League club right now, especially in the 1920 season, I believe it was. He scored 8 goals, but we scored, I mentioned this the other day, but we scored 32 as a whole team. And yeah, he was massive, those goals for us. Luke saying, I really do hope we add to Sarr and get Edwards in too. I think that would be fantastic, 2 additions. But if we were to get Edwards and then Kamada and Sarr plus Emile Smith Rowe, which we'll talk about, by the way, it's not just Ismaila Sarr today, there's a lot of news. Then I guess Sarr might be that backup option to Mateta. What happens with Edward? It's a bit confusing because of these players being versatile, we don't know exactly how Glasner or the club perceive them, where they could play. They could play in multiple positions, but what's going to be their main position? For me, as much as we can say that Sarr can play as a right wing back, the club might not even think that, and he hasn't played it before. It's like saying Jordan Ayew can play as a wing back. We don't know. We're just assuming, based on the strengths and weaknesses we've seen from these players. So we don't know if the club would even be willing to entertain something like that. Tim saying, I wonder if the belief is that Sarr is more dynamic and Glasner might be able to improve him. I think that's the case. I think that is the case. He's young, 26, and he has got pace, as I said. The fundamentals are there. With Sarr, it's about getting it consistently out of him. And if we do, we've got a player and a half. If we do. And who is the best to get the best out of a player in terms of manager? So far, we've seen Glasner. He made Klein look like a capable centre-back, which was crazy. And he was fantastic. And we saw lots of improvements last year. So yeah, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. Palace 1439 saying we still need a starting right side in number 10. Ayew is worth £5 to £10 million. His work rate is second to none. I agree there. Warren saying I think Sarr will be utilized as a potential backup to JP, so more right wing and striker. That could be the case. That could be the case, especially if we were to. Today, spoiler alert, we're not going to be talking about Edwards. There's no further updates on Edwards, but there are other players that could potentially play down the right-hand side, which we'll mention. But if, for example, if we do sign another player on top of Sarr, then it might be that Sarr is that backup strike option because he's got pace. He's also, not a short player as well. I don't know his exact height, but I remember at Watford, he must be at least 6 foot. He must be at least 6 foot. So you can use that to his advantage. Guy can say Marseille paid 11.3 for Sarr. I think we can get him around the same price. I saw £15 million, but you might be right. I didn't look too much into it rather than a quick Google search. Tim saying completely animal, can't sell Jess, but we need to give him path. We'll be talking about Jess. Because there's actually fees involved now. We mentioned in the other day that there was interest from a Premier League club. We'll be talking about some of the fees involved about Jess. What's going on, Colin? What's going on? But yeah, look, Ismaila Sarr. We'll stop there with him. We'll move on to the next player. Seems like things are progressing. Palace will be flying out to France. According to Alan Nixon, we're going all out on Ismaila Sarr. The question is, how much will he cost? And hopefully we get him sooner rather than later. He's been linked with us for a while, so I don't think this is a surprise to many. We mentioned him earlier on in the week, and it seems like things are progressing there, which is good to see. If we want him, let's just go get him and get it over and done with, rather than playing the long game and let him have a bit of preseason with Oliver Glasner. But now let's move on to the second bit of news that's come out today, and that is still according to Alan Nixon, and that's on Rak-Sakyi, which we actually mentioned that a Premier League club, which was Southampton, interested in a potential loan move with an option to buy. However, now we're kind of hearing the fees involved, which is where things get a bit more interesting. According to Alan Nixon, Southampton are making a surprise £7 million bid for Palace squadman Rak-Sakyi. Palace would demand much more for Rak-Sakyi and do not want to lose him, but a bigger bid and the chance of a Premier League contract may swing the transfer. Could we potentially be losing Rak-Sakyi on a permanent deal in this window? Surely not. Surely not. For me, I think Rak-Sakyi's got potential upside, massive potential of upside. I think this loan move that we were talking about with half of championship clubs being interested in getting him over there, I think that would be the best move for Palace at this current moment of time. I think if you go to the championship, if he performs well in the championship, that value is going much higher. We've seen it. I mean, we've been the main club in terms of getting players in the championship and developing them in the Prem. So I think the championship is a very good league. So I would rather loan him out to the champ. However, could Rak-Sakyi want to leave the club potentially to join Southampton? I mean, if there's an offer there from Southampton to be, potentially a Premier League player, why would he turn that down? Could there be something behind this? Palace, of course, it seems like, according to Alan Nixon, we demanded much more, which we should. But if we were to sell Jezren Rak-Sakyi in this window, how much do we think he's worth at this current moment of time? I'll say what I expect as a minimum, and then I'll go through the chat and see what you lot are thinking as well. For me, I think Rak-Sakyi at this current moment of time is worth a minimum, if we were to sell him to a Premier League club, a minimum of £15 million, plus there needs to be a very good sell-on clause there. If Southampton were to sell him on, I'm going to say very good, like minimum 20-25% minimum. I think that's the numbers we should be starting at. We shouldn't be looking to sell Rak-Sakyi, but I think 15 to 20 million pounds, then things might get a bit more serious. 7 million is not that far off that figure if Southampton are serious in terms of pushing for Rak-Sakyi and they really want him. And if they're willing to pay that much, Rak-Sakyi might say to Palace, well, look, you're not offering me 30 minutes and you want to loan me out to the championship. I would rather play in the Premier League for Southampton. He might say that. So it could potentially happen. Does this actually hinder him going out on loan to a championship club if he knows that there's a permanent club there for him, and that is for a Premier League club? Dan saying 20 million, Luke saying 15, Animal saying 15, I think. A lot of people saying 15. Buyback clause, I wouldn't hate that, says Rexy. Gaika also saying 15. He also saying, I don't want to lose him. Look, ideally, we don't want to lose him around 15 to 20 million pounds. I think that's a decent fee. Saying that, I'm not saying that with confidence, by the way. I'm saying that with the thought of Rak-Sakyi could turn into a much more dangerous player. Back of my mind, I'm also thinking I don't want to lose him for 15 to 20 million pounds. And afterwards, he comes to the Prem. We know his potential ability. He shows it in the Prem. And then all of a sudden, he's 35 million pound player. That would hurt a bit. I don't want us to rush into a deal. But I guess if we're talking 15 to 20 million pounds, which Southampton are currently not willing, not willing to match it, but apparently the bid that was reported was around 7 million pounds. If Southampton are willing to go around 15, 20 million pounds, maybe the club do have to take it a bit more seriously with Rak-Sakyi due to the players' demands. Maybe that could happen. Luke saying we have a replacement for Lise there. Why don't we keep Jez? For me, even there's this topic about keeping Jez for this season, which I think is a fair topic to have, because not only this season, I think it was in Vieira's first season. I would have liked to see Rak-Sakyi be an option off the bench. However, injuries have happened, and a few other situations have. So he hasn't had consistent minutes. I don't think him going out on loan would be the worst case scenario, because I don't think we can guarantee him that consistent minutes, especially starting week in, week out, than what the championship clubs can do. So I think it'll be good for his development. I'm not against that loan move, but selling him, Southampton, what are you trying to do? What are you actually trying to do with us? Tim saying, I wouldn't even take 15 mil, D. I would want a completely unreasonable fee and sell-on clause. Malcolm may be talented, but he hasn't proven himself in the same way Jez has. Twisted saying, D, Jez has proved nothing. So I guess Twisted is disagreeing with me and Tim. Spiritual saying selling Jez would be dumb. Surely every player has a price though, right? Surely, no? So what would be your price? If selling Jez is dumb, what would be your price where you're like, all right, cool, it might be dumb, but not for this price? Like, if it was this price, then I would be open to selling him. Surely you must have a figure in your head in terms of what you'd be happy with if you were to leave. Animal saying, if we sell him now for 7, his value could, look, let's just stop there. I'll read out the sentence, but I 100% agree. There's no way we would sell Rak-Sakyi for £7 million. Even the report doesn't suggest that as well. The question is, how much would we be willing to even entertain Rak-Sakyi for? That's the real question. For me, I think conversations, I mean, you hang up the phone if it's anything less than £15 million. Like, you don't even entertain, you don't even talk to them if it's anything less than £15 million. You can easily make that debate for £20 million as well for Rak-Sakyi. You just hang up the phone. Ideally, I don't want him sold, but those figures around £7 million, it's too cheap. It's too cheap for Rak-Sakyi. I wouldn't, even entertain it. Alvada saying 50 million with a buyback. Twister saying Kamada free. Context in terms of what? So we got Kamada free, so Jez can go. Twister, would you be happy with Jez going for 7 million? I don't know. I wouldn't personally. Martin saying, don't see the point of an academy if all we're going to do is sell. It just becomes a stock market rather than about football. We sell, then buy in an overinflated foreign players, not homegrown. Good point. Maybe at some point it'll be good to give some of these players chances in the first team. But for me, the Southampton things come out of the blue. I just thought it would have been a simple case of Rak-Sakyi goes out on loan to the championship, comes back next year. We see what to do with him. Like, we'll see the situation of the squad. We'll see if Eze's here. We'll see what's happened with Kamada. We'll see if that another Elisa replacement, which we were going to be talking about Nusa, if it's Nusa or Emile Smith Rowe, we'll see what happens with him. But for me, the simple thing is send out Rak-Sakyi out on loan and then reevaluate in a year's time. He was just saying, I think he's going to be a baller in the future. What's the point of trying to find good wingers when he just needs a chance? We've just got one there already. Agree. And that's why I'm more for a loan move. Alex saying, do you think he starts for Southampton? I'm not too sure. But if he was to leave Palace to Southampton, and if they're willing, if they were willing to pay around, let's say the figures that we're making up, by the way, because the reported figure is around £7 million that Southampton are willing to bid. Surely if you spend around 15, 20 million for a player, if he was to get sold for around that figure, they must give him some kind of assurance that he's going to have a good amount of playing time in our upcoming Premier League season. So yeah, I don't think he would leave Palace just to sit on Southampton's bench, because it's not going to really benefit him either. But look, Rak-Sakyi rumours, I thought, look, I'm always being on a wavelength of Rak-Sakyi's leaving the club this summer, out on loan. Nothing more, nothing less. But Southampton, they're doing some dirty games. They're trying to play games with us. They're trying to get him on a permanent deal. So I guess this is something to keep an eye on. Do Palace even entertain these conversations? Do we end it straight away? Next week, or with Rak-Sakyi, I guess, then again, I wouldn't say there's urgency in terms of sorting this out, but you would ideally want his future to be, if he's going out on loan, sorted out sooner rather than later, because if he's going to the championship starts earlier than the Premier League. So yeah, Rak-Sakyi to Southampton, I guess time will tell. Time will tell what actually happens with that. They might put in a more of a cheeky bid than the £7 million that's being reported right now. But let's move on to this is all from Alan Nixon, by the way. Let's move on to Antonio Nusa, who's actually been linked with us. A lot of people are saying, why I'm not going for him? Why has it gone quiet? And now is a good time to talk about him, because according to Nixon, the reason why Palace have kind of stalled on Nusa is because of fears with his injury record, which is might frustrate some Nusa fans who don't want Emile Smith Rowe. While Job Bellingham may be happy to wait longer at the club, wait longer at Sunderland whilst, waiting for a bigger club to come and poach him. So Nusa, according to Nixon, they're saying it's on hold because of his injury fears, which of course he did fail his medical at Brentford. But then again, you can easily ask the question of, if that was the case, then why was it reported that he's a number one target as at least a replacement? Because, the injury concerns have been there from before, unless we've discovered something new. And Bellingham is not surprised. I mean, we've heard of that he's staying at Sunderland, but he's waiting for a bigger club. Yeah, I mean, with the injury record, these injuries and stuff, with Smith Rowe, with Nusa, I mean, it feels like whatever player we were linked with, they've had some kind of injury past. And we're talking about a player that has failed a medical before. But for me, in all honesty, I don't understand the timing of this report. Unless they've, as I said, the only thing that makes sense at this current moment of time is unless they've actually found a new information about this, because this is a player that's failed his medical in January, and we were still after him according to reports then. Warren saying, has Nusa picked up a knock pre-season or anything? I don't think so. I'm not too sure. I just think this is more about his injury history. What is Job going to do at a bigger club? He's literally going to stay at Sunderland for another season at least. So I think he's banking on him having a very good season, and then maybe a bigger club comes for him. Animal saying, that's about Oza. We'll stick with Nusa right now. Colin saying, give him a chance and make decision offers. I think we're still talking about Rak-Sakyi here. Palace 1439 saying, we've known about Nusa's injury since January. That's rubbish from Alan Nixon. Exactly, we've known about it since January. But then again, it has gone quiet. Emile Smith Rowe has picked up more than Nusa recently. Like, when's the last time we've really spoke about Nusa? I can't remember. It must have been a few weeks now. It must be a few weeks right now. So yeah, there might be something behind this. For me, the timing just doesn't make any sense, because these injury concerns that we're talking about, we've known about this. So it's just like, what is it right now? And in terms of Job, I'm not that upset over it. 15, 20 million would have been nice for him. Even then, people were saying that's a bit too much for Job Bellingham. But he's just willing to stay at Sunderland and wait for a bigger club. Now, I don't know how he's going to make the jump from Sunderland to a bigger club. We finished top 10 last season. So in terms of a bigger club, is he talking about top 6 club? Like, is that what he's banking on? If he is, then I respect his ambitions, but that would be a massive jump for him to go from a championship side to becoming a regular starter for a top 6 club. I mean, we talk about Eze and Gahey and all these players who've been performing at Premier League and at the Euros, not having those opportunities and questioning whether they'll start or not at some of these other clubs. So I don't know what Job is playing at, but yeah, Luke saying, what's happened to Sule? I think Sule from the get-go, especially when Elise got sold, the talks were basically that Palace weren't willing to match the price of what Juventus want for him. I think that's what's happened with Sule, and then after that, it's just died down. With Nusa, there was no reason for it to die down, but the latest right now, after a few weeks, is that Palace are concerned about his injury records. Warren saying, like, a bit similar to the Francis situation, still young and adjusting to Premier League. He'll be saying, not long now, can't wait. Exactly. Another preseason game this Saturday, then the American tour. So there's a lot. Also, yeah, Sule, apparently he does want Roma as well, but Leicester are looking hard at him. So yeah, we're not really in this equation with him. But Nusa, I mean, are we in equation with him if we're worried about his injury concerns? Is that die down now? Because there hasn't been much about him as well. Tim saying, also, I think the most talented youth are watching to see academies progress. Last I checked, Samuel Lusale is at risk of being signed out of ranks by Man United. It's not just Palace. I've seen Arsenal youth talent go to Man United as well. There's a lot of, I don't know if it's just getting reported a bit more now than before, but there's a lot of players, especially at academy level, that they're just transferring over, whether from Palace to another club or another club to Palace. I've seen Arsenal lose some of their their key academy players to other top 6 clubs. So there's a lot of movement at academy level. I just, maybe because of Fabrizio Romano, he tweets a lot about these academy players. Maybe we're figuring out more about them now than before, but there's a lot of movement. I've noticed that this summer as well. Unfortunately, saying so, we are willingly to spend 30+ million on Smith Rowe, but not Sule. Don't shoot. I don't know. That's Sule's gone quiet as well. It seems like we're just not happy with the 30 million pound price tag on Sule. Well, look, the only justification for that, which to kind of back the club, is that Emile Smith Rowe has played in the Premier League. He has got a Premier League experience. We do know more about Smith Rowe. Well, I assume we'll know more about Smith Rowe than we do about Sule, who's coming from abroad, of course. So maybe they might be a bit more happy spending that kind of money on a player that's already played in the Premier League than a player who hasn't. That might be the case. And saying that, I mean, the reports about Leicester going after Sule, for example, the fees, from what I saw, wasn't around 30 million. It was less than that. It was around 20 plus add-ons or 25 plus add-ons. So I don't know if Juventus would even entertain that, but Roma is his decision. That's what he wants, according to reports. The number of academy grads breaking free in recent years has gone down massively. Not shocked seeing more of youngsters making moves. Look, we'll talk about academy. We'll talk about all the players after we go through all the news, because there is more. There is more. Let's talk about Emile Smith Rowe next, who has been rumored with us in the past, of course, especially this week. It's all picked up in terms of what's going to be happening with Smith Rowe. But the latest, according to Nixon, is that Palace are in the hunt for Emile Smith Rowe, which we already know about. But neither Palace or Fulham have had encouragement from the players' camp. I don't want to talk about this. What does Smith Rowe really want? Because there were other people in the chat, rightly so, saying, he wants to stay at Arsenal. And that has been the talk for a while. I think even potentially last summer, when he was rumoured to leave Arsenal, it seemed like he just wanted to stay at Arsenal. And in fact, he scored a goal in the pre-season friendly the other day. He was wearing the captain's armband as well. So I just don't know what he wants. I'll be honest. I would want him at Palace. I know I'm probably in a minority. A lot of people don't want him because of his injury concerns and the price tags involved. But he needs to make up his mind. He really needs to make up his mind. And if he's half-hearted, if he doesn't really want to leave Arsenal, just leave him there then. Leave him there. For me, I just can't remember the time I respect it because he's trying to make it a bigger club, but he's just desperately forcing something. He's forcing it. He was there last year. He had 13 appearances in the Premier League, 12 the year before, and it just seemed like he's forcing it. Maybe because we can't give him assurances about game time, but then again, I think he'll get more game time at Palace than he does at Arsenal. I just don't get it. Glasner really wanted him, according to Fabrizio Romano. And then Nixon saying that Palace or Fulham have had encouragement from the players' camp. I don't know. Amit saying seems he thinks he's too good for Palace. Might be. Could be. Guy is saying Emile Smith Rowe needs a move to kickstart his career. He's not going to be a regular starter at Arsenal anytime soon. I agree as well. And I think Palace or Fulham would be a good move. Warren saying he's probably getting mixed messages, captaining him in pre-season, not really seem like they want to get rid of him. And according to reports, Arteta, the latest I saw was that Arteta wants to keep him. Like, what is it? Is it like mind games to get the most out of him? What's this Smith Rowe being a captain in a pre-season friendly? What are all these games about, Arsenal? Like, what are we playing at? Do you want to sell him? Do you not want to sell him? Like, what do you actually want to do with this player? Because it's all getting a bit confusing right now. The whole situation. He scored a goal. He can still play in a preseason friendly. Oza played in a preseason friendly. Rak-Sakyi literally scored against Charlton. That's not a problem. These players, we know they're going to be leaving Palace in this window. But it's just about him being captain, etc. It's like, what is that? Is that like a goodbye gesture? Is that you trying to make him stay at the club? Is that you signaling to Palace that, oh, look, he was captain in Arsenal and we don't want to sell him? Like, what do you want to do, Arsenal? It's a bit confusing. Just a bit more clarity would be better. Because the other day, it seems like Palace really wanted him, 30 to 35 million pounds. That's where we was at. Deal hasn't been concluded, but my opinion, if you're that close to figures and if Arsenal want 35 to 40 and Palace willing to put in 30, I mean, a deal could be sorted there. But now it's like, what's happening? After that, it's like Arteta wants to keep him. He's captain in Arsenal. I don't understand it. Warren's saying using us for a new contract. I'm not even too sure how long he's got left in his contract. Could be. Ever's saying if he's being stuck up, then I don't want him in the locker room. Ed saying I think Arteta wants Emile Smith Rowe, but the club wants the money for him. Well, sort it out then. I mean, just sort it out. If the club wants to sell him for more money and Arteta want him, like, just sit down and sort it out. Like, what do you want to do? If you don't want to sell him, just let us and Fulham know that you don't want to sell him, and then that's it. We're finished. If Smith Rowe doesn't want to join us, you tell us you don't want to join us, and that's it. We're finished. Like, it's not like, I mean, just wasting everyone's time, wasting Arsenal's time, wasting Palace, Fulham, players side. Like, just have these conversations. I mean, surely you should be having these conversations. They started preseason. Red saying don't want Arsenal's rejects, not our new model. Tim saying Emile Smith Rowe signed till 2026. So yeah, exactly. So ideally, this would be the best time to sell him because we're in a similar situation with Gay as well. And we're saying major injury clause, 30 million up front, extra 5 if he makes it through the season without a lengthy injury. This is not even about money at this point, honestly. I just feel like there's a bit of confusion going over on the Arsenal side of things because they put a price tag on him. It seems like we're not far off that price tag, but it also seems like Arteta wants to keep him. So Arsenal just needs to make a decision on whether they are going to keep him or they're not going to keep him. Because it's just getting a bit silly right now. George saying, where is he going to play though? Because I thought Eze left, Kamada can, which is both his positions. Well, I mean, we play with 2 number 10. So Eze, number 10, Kamada, number 10. I think Smith Rowe would still have significant minutes. I mean, coming off the bench, he should be coming off the bench most games because of the Glasgow system. So I think he'll be the player to replace Kamada in the game, or even Eze. I thought it'd be Eze and França as the left 10s, Kamada and Smith Rowe as a right 10s, even though I know he has played down the left. But I think what we try to do in Glasgow system, it doesn't really matter if you play on the left or right. It's a bit more like fluidity, especially with the number 10. So I think Smith Rowe's got that. And also he has a left foot as well in him. So he can play down the right-hand side. Ahmed saying they want a bidding war. He stays fit and he's a top player. Yeah, maybe. But I don't think Palace and Fulham are interested in a bidding war for a player that there are major concerns there. By the way, people, I haven't said it, but if you haven't already done so, hit the like button, subscribe as well. I don't know how many likes we're on right now, but if you could do that, that'd be much appreciated if you are enjoying the content, of course. Warren saying I'd like Somerville, but again, the figures that Somerville, I'll be honest, we haven't mentioned him for the last 2 months. I don't think that would even be in a conversation right now. I think Smith Rowe has 2 years left on his deal. Smith Rowe would definitely start if we sign him. I don't know if he'd definitely start. I don't know if he would. I think if Eze was to stay, if Eze was to leave, maybe you could have that debate. But right now, I think Kamada and Eze will be starting as the number 10s. I don't think Smith Rowe is a guaranteed starter, but yeah, I think he'll still have good minutes coming off the bench. But let's see. Because I thought the other day I was growing in confidence after the figures were finally mentioned and Glasner really wanted him. But now it's like, one level down again because we don't know what's going on at Arsenal side of things and Smith Rowe's. Let's talk about the final bit of news today before we go through some comments and questions. And that is on Teo Ademirola, according to Edmund Brack. Wigan Athletic want to sign Ademirola out on loan. They're rivaling Stockport, and Italian side Pisa have also shown interest. Yeah, he's gonna be going out on loan. He looked decent playing that centre back the other day. Me and team mentioned it against Charlton. Had some nice forward runs. I thought he bulked up a bit as well. Wigan Athletic, Stockport, probably his destinations. But yeah, that's the latest on Ademirola. He is not a surprise. He should be going out on loan as well. Big up, Damo. We simply don't do bidding wars. Exactly, we got our valuation. I think with Smith Rowe, we kind of pushing that boundary in the first place. So I don't think we'll be doing a bidding war as well. Dude, why not Sule? I heard his price got reduced to 70 million. I thought Leicester bidded around that figure, but I don't think he wants to join us. I'll be honest. There is also that as well. Sometimes we're too fixated on the money and not focusing on whether the player would actually want to join Palace. From the reports is that he wants to join Roma. So even if he goes Leicester, I'll be surprised. That's where we're at this current moment of time. Let's go through some of the questions. If you have any questions, put a Q and a dot before it. I'll be honest, there's been a lot of comments, so I'm just going to try to find the questions right now. If you're enjoying the content, like, subscribe, people. Ash saying, out of all the rumors, ins and outs, what would be a perfect transfer window from this point? Pardon me. Sessegnon, hopefully that gets announced next week. He's been at the club training for a while. I think that would be a nice improvement. Smith Rowe, I'm still a fan. I would want that deal to get done. Sarr would be nice as well. Bringing in Sarr. And it just depends on with the Sarr situation. I don't know if he's a genuine option at right wing back. I don't know if he is under Glasner, but that position does concern me a bit. We have got Klein there, we have got Ward there, but they're not wing backs. They could play there technically, but they're not good enough to play in that position. If Munoz was to go get injured, and I think we're lacking depth on the right hand side and up front. But for now, I like to take a step at a time. Sign Sessegnon and sort out this Elise replacement if it's not Kamada. Just sort that out. And then from there, we can look at the Edouard situation and all the other positions. But yeah, I mean, it's not been a while since we signed a player, but Sessegnon should hopefully be complete sooner rather than later, because that's been not dragging on, but he's been at the club for a while. Tim saying, what is the max? Oh, geez, more comments. Tim saying, what's the max you would pay for Smith Rowe? The kid was born in Fortineve. I would wonder if he has family sporting, Palace sporting family. I actually know someone who's played with Smith Rowe. Yeah, he grew up in Croydon. They played in Arsenal's academy together at a young age. So what's the max I'd offer for Smith Rowe? 35 sounds like a lot. I mean, if we're at 35 and Arsenal want 40, I'm not against that as well. If it's an extra 5 million to get the deal, I'm not against that. I know some people even think 35 is crazy, 30 is crazy, but I'm not against it. I'm just banking on his potential upside, and I think that's massive. If he can stay injury-free, he's a very, very good player, and I think we could still make a profit on him. So yeah. Let's go through more comments. With Sarr coming in, would you still want a right wing back, right back? Yeah. See, I just mentioned this now, but it just depends on Glasner. Because the Sarr situation is similar with Ayew. People are saying Ayew can play right wing back, but he doesn't play there. That's not his position. But we're basing this on strengths and weaknesses. So would Glasner see him as a right wing back option? If he does, then we wouldn't need one. But if he doesn't, then yeah, we do. We do need one to be there as like a backup to Munoz, because I think we're very weak on that side of the pitch, even though we do have the numbers for numbers' sake. Rest in peace to Dean Henderson's dad. Rest in peace. I didn't know his dad's passed away. Thoughts and prayers to his family. That's news to me. Yeah, that's sad news. Let's go through more comments. How are you saying you spent £40 million on Emile Smith Rowe? That's all the least of money we could get Nusa and Edwards with that. Nusa, we mentioned it. Club have concerns over his injury report, and Edwards. I mean, by the way, talking about Dougie Freedman. Yeah, if Dougie Freedman and Oliver Glasner want Emile Smith Rowe more than Nusa and Edwards, I'm not against spending that kind of money on Emile Smith Rowe. And also with Edwards, that 50 million just seems a bit too low. I think that's what we were willing to bid, but God knows how much they actually want, because Tottenham get, I think, 30% of that money in first place. And Nusa, today we literally spoke about it. The club have concerns over his injury, over his injuries, and he literally failed a medical at Brentford as well. So yeah, I'm not that fussed about it. I rate Emile Smith Rowe massively. I do. I'm in a massive minority, but I do. Evan saying, is there any pathway for a player like Teo with bringing in Sessegnon? No, not right now. Not for this upcoming season, I don't think, because it'll be Mitchell, Sessegnon. So that's why he'll be going out on loan, which we mentioned today, that there are clubs interested in him. Warren saying, I also think with sending the young right wing back on loan, then we should surely be in the market for one with Sessegnon covering left wing back competing. Yeah, we should be, but then it might be Sarr. That's the thing, we don't know. We're just making up not myths, but potentials right now with Sarr playing as a right wing back. We don't know if Glasner even sees him potentially playing in that position. If he does, then we wouldn't need another right wing back. But yeah, it just depends on the situation and how Glasner views Ismaila Sarr. Nusa passes Brentford medical. I don't know why people think otherwise. He literally failed it. Let me search this up right now. But did he not fail his medical at Brentford for around 30? Look, let me find it. Here you go. It's right here. I'll show you as well. He literally failed his medical. But the thing about the Nusa thing report is that why we knew about this already about his injury past. So why is it a thing now? But yeah, I'll literally show the Nusa. He failed his medical over in January. It was for a bid around £30 million as well. My laptop was slow. I'm gonna try to bring it up on the screen right now. But yeah, so I think that's injury. But then again, you could easily make that point about Emile Smith Rowe. Even though I want him, you can easily make that point about him. Look, you can see it here. Antonio Nusa issues injury update after failed Brentford medical. So yeah, so he did fail his medical at Brentford, and that's why he's not at Brentford at this current moment of time. But yeah, people, we're going to wrap it up now. If you have enjoyed this, like, subscribe. As I said, we spoke about quite a few players. We are here this week. I think we've done every single day, maybe, or majority of it. We'll most likely be here tomorrow as well. Now it's getting all a bit spicy in terms of transfers and stuff. Ismaila Sarr seems like that could be the next one if things go well. Seems like Palace are flying out over to France. Hopefully, we have more updates on him next week, and we'll see what happens with Emile Smith Rowe as well. Because after today's report, it's a bit confusing, the whole situation. But if you have enjoyed it, like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. That's it from me. And until next time, up the Palace.